20 years ago, two Chicago guys got together and built a hockey team. Don Levin, a Chicago-based entrepreneur, and Buddy Meyers, an attorney with a long history in hockey, were the team's new owners. Levin and Meyers brought in Grant Mulvey, a former right winger who played over 500 games for the Chicago Blackhawks, and Wayne Messmer, a renowned soloist and local businessman, to help build the club from the ground up.
I first got involved with a conversation with Grant Mulvey, who then was talking about the roller hockey days, which, I don't know if anybody knows or everybody knows that story, but that was the original concept.
But the ground was a little shaky when it came to the original concept.
We had everything done for the roller hockey, right. But Grant was reading an article that said that the International Hockey League was putting a franchise in somewhere, Marion, Indiana. See what the Holiday Inn is? Anyway, I think it was. It's not important. So he called him up and said, "Is that true?" And Barry told him no. And he said, "Would he put one there?" He said, "Would he put one in Chicago?" He said, "Yes." And so that's when we got Fred Comrie and got involved, because then Fred Comrie was selling franchises for the IHL,
right,
with the guy out of Atlanta, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then so we ended up with them, and we bought the franchise, and that's what you're talking about that day.
So you went from roller hockey to ice hockey.
But we never played roller hockey.
Yeah.
That was going to be.
Were you going to play at the Allstate?
No. Yeah, exactly.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
After switching from roller hockey to ice hockey, Meyers and Levin had to find a place to house their new staff.
And interestingly enough, we rented office space right when you're talking about in an office building in Des Plaines, and that office space probably was
downstairs,
lower level. it was probably.
So it was the outhouse, not the penthouse.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But they decided we needed about as much space as for, could have put 12 people in there. And that was going to be what you needed for a hockey team, for everything.
Right.
Little did I know that many millions of dollars later and several buildings later that you need a lot of space and a lot of people. I had no clue.
Wayne had a graphic designer build and revise the new team's logo.
There were a different kind of things. A wolf lends itself to cartoonish types of images. And then, of course, when it was still roller hockey, he did a version of something for that. But then the complete logo with the stick and the giant puck behind the wolf's head, that came later. And the face, I remember that the discussion kept saying, "Nah, we want the green eyes."
Everything was coming together off the ice, but they still needed to build their first roster. For that, they leaned heavily on a man whose hockey career spans thousands of miles, many decades, and more than a few countries.
Putting together a team with one owner in Chicago, it was exciting. But a lot of people doubted us when I went out to look for people to come and join our organization. They said, "Ubi, you're in the IHL, and you're going up against the Blackhawks." And I just never thought of it that way. I just knew that if we put a good product on the ice for the money, I remember our motto, I love mottos, and we want to be the best show in town for the money. And I think that's what we really aimed for, and really that's what came about.
Together with Mulvey and Ubriaco, Levin and Meyers began to build their first Chicago Wolves roster. It would feature a face that was already very famous in the second city.
Now Ronick trying to center it. Graham, they score! Graham, I think, poked it out in front. It may have been Secord that finished the play. Al Secord, second of the game, has tied it up at 3.
People that we surrounded ourselves with our first year, getting Al Secord was important, showing the toughness part and being a Blackhawk. He'd been out of hockey for 4 years, but in order to get some credibility in Chicago, we thought, we have to sign some people from Chicago. We did sign Gordy Roberts, who had played 18 years in the National League. And then we thought, geez, if we go and get Al, that gives us another name. Because the IHL was a couple of rungs below the American League.
A name like Al Secord,
Yeah.
in the game of hockey, not just for his toughness, but he's a 50-goal scorer.
Great guy. Al was just a presence. He wasn't. It wasn't just his ability to be a player. It wasn't just that he was a player.
Mm-hmm.
His presence was bigger than he was. He earned everything he ever had.
More big names and faces would follow as the team came together to play their first game in Chicago. Tune in next time as Daring Greatly continues to chart the history of the Chicago Wolves in this exclusive docu-series.